What's
Hi.
up, everyone? Welcome to Three Chicks in a Pod. I'm Megan Price. We got Jen Matthews Lewis in the middle, and then Kari Johnson at the end. How are you ladies doing?
Good, yourself?
Doing really well. Busy, busy, busy week for me.
Oh,
I'm pretty good.
Sunday.
We're getting rid of some boxes slowly and surely. Maybe one day before Christmas, I'll be able to do one inside.
Right. Well, my mom just moved too, so I know that that is such a taxing process.
Yes, it's not
And that
fun, but
and that was just a one bedroom apartment. So, or not say just, it was a nice size apartment. So, yeah, it was definitely still a process. So, good luck with that. Carrie, how's your week been?
Really good. I relate to Jen. We've been living here for a year and a half, and I finally got room in the junk room where you put all the boxes. So um,
Right.
we're making progress. There may be one day that I actually do live from an office type situation. So that's kind of an exciting.
so if I propose to fly and pay for you guys girls to fly out here to help me unpack this stuff and pack up other stuff, do I get yays or nays?
I
I'll
mean,
come out
yay.
and drink a mimosa or something.
You can drink
I
mimosa or
will.
whatever you want while you're helping
No,
me unpack.
I'm not unpacking. I'm just coming to drink mimosas with you.
Look, I will help unpack as long as every box I get a shot and a glass of mimosa.
You get whatever the hell you want.
Okay, I can help unpack. I can help.
I just need someone to go through and say, "You're not using this. You don't need it anymore." And I'll be like, "Okay."
That too as well. So this week I think we want to start off with we had some Title IX news, and as you guys know, we did a series during the month of June on Title IX. It was the 50th anniversary since the ruling. A
hmm
week after that, we also had Roe versus Wade was overturned, and so since then we've had a little more news on Title IX, and it's coming out of the state of Alabama. Jen, you want to cover it for us?
Sure. So there is in Shelby County, Alabama, a student who graduated last year. Her mother opened up a federal investigation, and good for her, against the county because a teacher. And by the way, this is not the first time the OCR, Office of Civil Rights, has investigated a case of discrimination solely based on a student's orientation. However, this is the first case time the officials have used. I'm quoting. Well, not the first time federal officials have investigated alleged discrimination of an LGBTQ student. The case marks the first time officials have used an expanded understanding of Title IX regulations that specifically protect students who are LGBTQ, according to OCR investigator Martin Chatton. Um, and basically, this happened after in June 2020. The mother alleged that a teacher at the school denied the student, now the graduate, um, placement in a school program for the 2021 school year due to a homophobic bigotry because the student didn't date guys and liked girls. So, and it's not the first time Shelby County has been investigated by OCR. However, it is the first time to this level. So, hats off to the student, hats off to her mom, and shame on you. Like, what does it matter what anybody freaking does in their dang bedroom? Has no impact on your life.
No, it has no effect, and it's really kind of sad. I know from not from her like identical situation, but it is hard to be the first one to step out and
Mhm.
tackle something as large. Mine was obviously not that large, but it's hard to step up and go against the grain and bring attention to a situation that needs to be brought to. So hats
Yeah.
off to her. It's not comfortable, not at
Right,
No,
all.
it's
absolutely.
not. It's
Absolutely
never
not.
comfortable to defend yourself.
For sure. And I mean, like you said, what's the relevance of what her sexual preference is? How does that affect her ability at all?
I mean, I'm not sitting
Zero.
in anybody else's bedroom but mine. And I'm not even sitting there right now. I'm sitting outside. So it doesn't matter to me one way or another.
That's funny. Yeah, I just don't see the relevance of how it affects her journey whatsoever. So I mean, awesome for her and her parents for speaking out on that. And one thing that we mentioned about Title IX whenever we first started this series was that I really love how this legislation, this amendment changes all the time. Like they're constantly adding to it, changing, because we all change. The world changes. The way that we view things change, and new issues come up, and we're able to deal with however you choose to apply this amendment. And so, good for them for bringing it up, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. The fact that it does evolve shows that it's realized as a work of progress, because everything in our life is a work of progress. My health, our show, whatever whichever way you look at it, everything is a work in progress. And if there isn't change, then you need to move on to something that does change.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Every single day we grow and we expand. And no, Jay, that was you. I heard it all the way across the darn
facts.
country.
It's always Jay. I don't know if you.
And I know, Megan, you're closer to him right now, so I know you can probably even smell that.
Wait, what?
Well, the thing about Texas, y'all, is it's huge, and I'm 10 hours away from him, but he does love to send those videos out, and so no, it's always Jay. He's always the one.
Jay, you're honoring.
What are y'all's thoughts about this coming out like right before the school year is about to happen?
I love it personally, because at the end of the day, if you want to be the change, if you want change, be the change. Do it in a productive manner. Don't be melodramatic. Right. Don't be stupid. Don't go steal a cop car. Don't be stupid. Be smart. Have organized protest, because they are right. We can and do that. Protect each other. Like Charlotte Mecklenburg schools had protests all year long to protect that. Hold on. We got to put that one. Carrie Bear.
Aww.
Is that your new nickname? All right, Jay. I see you kissing up to Carrie. It's because she was the only one not knocking your toots. If not for Tennessee. All right, Jacob.
It's not my fault. Y'all are going to be ass at football this year, and we got Arch Manning. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but Megan, Texas would bring football to Mexico. I was about to say to New Mexico. Sorry, I was reading stuff about New Mexico today.
There are games. They do exhibition games in Mexico sometimes. So,
really?
All right, they do. So let's go ahead and slide over to the NBA. So there's a few free agents that don't have their destination yet. Kevin Durant being one of those. We've heard some news on that this week, and his part of the reasons why he wanted out of New York or out of Brooklyn being that he doesn't get along with the GM and he doesn't get along with Steve Nash. Steve Nash being highly underqualified to be a head coach. So I would definitely keep an eye on that situation. But there's been a few other situations where free agents were actually signed, contract extensions were given, and now those teams are under investigation. One of them being the New York Knicks for Jalen Brunson. The Mavs came out and said that they weren't contacted beforehand. There was not a conversation that happened beforehand in order for them to acquire Jalen Brunson. Also, Jalen Brunson's dad works for the Knicks organization. So they haven't ruled on it yet. They haven't ruled on either one of these situations. Philadelphia is another one. They talk about James Harden. He took less money. He had like $44 million for a player option this year. He actually opted out. Supposedly looked at nursing home. Don't talk about my UT great, just keep on bringing up Texas, Jacob. Just keep on bringing up Texas. It's cool. And so the situation with the Sixers, though, it also involves.
I'm sorry.
That is pretty funny.
You're rare form, Jacob. You're rare form. I love it.
He's had a few. And so with the Sixers, not only is it James Harden's situation, because there seems to have been a conversation like behind closed doors or a handshake agreement that, hey, you're going to opt out and you're going to take less money. And then we're going to figure out this extension at a different time. And so I know that Maury has already answered some questions to the NBA, and we'll see how these investigations come out. But in 2019, the NBA started levying out heavier fines and disciplinary actions to the teams if this were to happen. Milwaukee Bucks got in trouble for a situation that happened with Bogdanovich. He ended up signing with the Atlanta Hawks, and they didn't end up losing as much as they could have, but they can get fined up to $10 million. So, Jen, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's really interesting that they're being investigated and that we have, I don't know, I think it's all going to be very entertaining. And I hate to say entertaining, but I think that we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. I'm surprised there have been no comments and there was no communication beforehand. That's shocking to me because I'm such an open book. Like, I couldn't imagine not telling my boss that I'm looking for another job. Like, I straight up told my boss I've applied for over 100 jobs.
Okay, so but here's the thing. From the player side of things, right? These teams discuss trading them behind their backs without letting them know a thing. A lot of times they find out they've been traded on Twitter, on ESPN, and the team hasn't even discussed with them yet. So why are these players held to a different standard than maybe what the organizations and the owners are held to?
That's a very valid point. I haven't looked at it from that perspective.
DeMar DeRozan found out. Like DeMar DeRozan found out he was being traded. The Raptors, like the day before, they told him, "Hey, we're not trading you. There's no way it's going to happen." He had spent 9 seasons there in Toronto. He had spent a ton of money in that community and time giving back in Toronto. Very next day, they traded him for Kawhi Leonard. Now, obviously, that's a business situation. That's a top 3 player in the league. If you have the opportunity to get KD, LeBron, or Kawhi, you go for it. And they did. Yeah. But the day before that, they had just told him he wasn't on the trade block, and he found out on Twitter.
Well, and we see that often across the sports. We see that often, which is really, I always thought it was kind of a backhanded jerk way to handle the situation.
Right. Well, even look at like Baker Mayfield with the Browns. Mm-hmm. Look at Steve Smith with the Panthers and how he found out. He found out while watching the combine that he was being traded. That's how he found out. Love you, Dave Gettleman. So glad you're away from my team. Yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. Even more recently, like Greg Olsen, Cam Newton, they were all promised they were going to be, and they weren't. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, I can't imagine not telling my boss, hey, but also, I mean, when you find a job, when you find a job, aren't you always looking for a better one? You know, if one were to come along. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I don't always necessarily blame them for testing the waters and going and looking, nor do I blame the teams. So I don't know if they should necessarily be fined for that I just feel like
there should be honesty,
like $10 million.
You know? Yeah.
And every team tampers. Every team tampers. I'm sorry. I don't care if they go down to the high school level, maybe even the junior high level. I've seen it with successful basketball programs in this area. I'm not going to name names. Hey, Will, see you in the comments. You know, and so like tampering happens on every single level. So is that really where you want to be focused on? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but I don't feel like the players should be in trouble for that.
No, and that's a really valid point. I don't think they should be in trouble for it because you're allowed to look like at Wells Fargo. I've applied for over 100 jobs since June. And most of them are well above my skill set, but you know what? It's where I want to go. So I'm applying because somebody will interview me. So
no, absolutely. You can have a job and look for another job. So he said,
oh, that's true. Hey, you guys are like Duke.
You know what? I can't explain Texas high school football to y'all. You have to experience it. The movies.
Duke is your adopted third team. Well, I'm officially breaking up with you right now because I'm a little gross.
I think
now.
he's talking about the Chiefs. He's talking about the Chiefs. I can't imagine.
Oh, okay.
I can't imagine him being a Tar
can
Heel
almost
fan
get
and cheering
behind.
for Duke. So, Kari, what are your thoughts on this, if you have any?
So one thing I've often thought about, and it just kind of it's kind of a weird thought process for me, based on how I kind of view each person as an individual. When you look at athletes, they become commodities as opposed to individuals. And so the fact that as a commodity, they're exchanged, virtually kind of like you buy stocks and, you buy stocks and change it in commodities for your investments. Teams invest in these people, these commodities, to make their teams better. So I've always felt it awkward, just from a human standpoint, that when it becomes their talent, you can't separate the person from the talent, and therefore they become tradable and a commodity. And so in that aspect, it always has been an interesting conundrum in my brain, because it just doesn't set well that you trade humans from one place to another place.
It kind of takes it back to a dark place in history.
I guess my thing about it is, if you're going to hold the owners accountable, that they should be able to, when they have to follow the rules of free agency, then I think, and the way that they deal with the NBA, the league as well, I think you have to hold them accountable and then make sure that they treat the players with that same respect, because the league wants the respect from these owners and from these teams of not to break these rules. But I think you should respect these players in the same way, and just like, you should have to know, like, hey, it's possible that I might get traded. Like, I think the team should have to tell you that.
Correct. And I think I don't like it when you do have the he said, she said type stuff, and when you're talking about trades behind closed doors and behind the players' backs, that kind of falls into that category. So it's just a weird thing. And I always thought that I was probably off base with that, but it a little bit, but it's something that has bothered me watching any kind of professional sport, is the fact that these people become items on a stage to trade. And it's weird. It's weird for me. Very weird. So.
All right, guys.
Sorry.
Well, I guess we'll move over to the next topic. And so this past weekend, Serena won her first singles match in I think quite some time. I want to say 3 years. And so, everybody was kind of riding high off of that on Saturday. And I know I posted about it. And then come this morning, the Vogue article drops. Serena is retiring after the U.S. Open, and she's going to be focusing on her business ventures. So, I mean, if we give out stats, just know that this is contingent on she still has some play left in her. She's got like a few weeks left. And so, those numbers will change after those tournaments. But Kari, you want to start us off?
Well, I have always been intrigued by the Williams sisters and their father's dedication to making sure that his daughters had the best of what was out there. So, that in itself is a remarkable story. And no, I have not watched King James yet, and that is one that I want to watch.
So good.
Yeah, is it? I've heard many, many good things about it.
I started it, and the part that I saw was really good.
So I definitely want to do that. That being said, I was reading that Vogue article, and if you have not read that article, it is captivating in the fact that the one that dropped today was, from her point of view, is kind of like a letter to the editor type situation. I lost track of time reading it. That's how captivating it was. And she doesn't, she said that she's only discussed leaving tennis with her therapist until this opportunity. And it has always brought her to tears. And her statement in the article is, I don't know that I can open up and look at this Vogue. I don't even know if I can touch the Vogue, because it is so this is such a touchy. And she said, I have friends that have retired, and they claim retirement and they're extremely happy, and it was a happy situation. And she said, it's not. I don't feel happy at this point with it. She goes, I don't think retirement fits me. I think that it's more of an evolution. But her daughter prays to be a little sister, and she said, I would not be where I am today without being a sister. And so she's like, and just reading that article, I was, I felt the emotion that she was. It's not. She isn't ready to do this, but she's like, it's not fair. If I was a male, I would not be in this situation. I would not have to give up my avenue to entertain people, to compete, to live that and pursue this, because my wife would be home bearing the burden of raising children. She goes, I love being a mother. I love being a woman. I love all this, but it isn't fair that I have to say goodbye to something I absolutely love and adore to be able to pursue raising a family. And she goes, but I love that too. And I love it more. So it's really impressive. And I know I'm not throwing stats out there. She does have the 23 Grand Slams to date that she's won, and she's surpassed all these different milestones. And she credits that to being able to watch Venus and learn from her mistakes at the same time Venus was learning. So, like when Venus lost a match, she figured out what caused her to lose that match. And so she wouldn't lose that way, so she was always evolving her game. But it was more the emotion side that was very intense, and it's a very well written piece. So I only was reading it as entertainment as well. So I only got so far into it. So I'm going to go finish it. But it is a very heartfelt, honest, raw look at where she is struggling right now. And I can understand that. I can relate to that as being a woman. We have to sacrifice things to be family oriented when it isn't a reciprocal thing, and it's not ever going to be. So anyway, that's
it was the road, baby.
Yeah, some of her stats. She has 73 singles titles, 23 Grand Slams, like you mentioned, 14 Grand Slam doubles titles, 14 Olympic medals, and $94 million in prize money. And then also, while you mentioned the King Williams movie, now there was also a documentary called Venus and Serena that was put out about 10 years ago. So it was at a different stage in their career, but they were still already really successful by this point. And this is actually when Venus realized that she was ill. She had an autoimmune disease. And so like Venus has also come back to the scene too. She took several years off, and she recently won doubles, I believe, in Wimbledon, mixed doubles actually. And so, and then also the dates of the US Open, let me see. August 29th, Monday, is when it starts, and it ends Sunday, September 11th. So those will be the dates for the U.S. Open. Serena has just been, because Venus is so successful as well.
They've been around.
But Serena is just the epitome of powerful female athlete. So just thankful for the attention that she's brought to the sport and just to female athletics in general. So, and I feel like we'll cover it a little bit more once she actually does retire.
I'm not gonna lie, I hate to, tell people to go buy that Vogue or at least pull up their Vogue's Twitter page, because that picture of her is stunning.
Oh, the pictures that are in there you're like breathtaking. I will post this link on 3 Chicks in a Pod, because it's an article that if you enjoy reading about people's passion and kind of want a more in-depth understanding of who they are, this is a good article to read, because it's from her point of view. It is very specifically, there was people that helped her, but it was from her point of view, and you can feel it. It's just one that you can feel. And I don't know. I was
was so
sitting here and I was
hard.
just really in awe reading through it. So,
As y'all know, I don't really pay attention to my phone that much during the day, just because my job is kind of heavy and very client focused. And when I saw that, I stopped. I was like, whoa, wait. This is like when Andre, retired from tennis. This is like, when Venus did also, but then Venus came back. Because Venus never really officially retired. She just said she was stepping back. So, and yeah, Kari, if you get a chance, if you want, I'll even give you the link to my HBO Max so you can watch King Richard.
oh yeah, it's on the list. I have a bunch of movies on the list. It's just sitting down and taking time to do it because I usually sitting and watching a movie. I usually find about 3 other things to do at the same time. So,
are you ADD by association now?
Well, there's all kinds of letters we can put
I love being about influencers. I love it. Just say yes, Kari. Let me have my moment.
I mean, we can do ADD. We could do all kinds of things.
That's funny.
I mean, if there's a shiny flashy squirrel, I'm after it. So there we go.
Funny. Well, since we actually don't have a guest on this episode, I thought that we would go ahead and promote a few of our own projects. So tomorrow night, the next episode of Sports Arena will actually be starting 30 minutes early. So it'll be starting at 9:30 Eastern. And the first 30 minutes, we will be talking about 4 women that are retiring or almost retired in sports this past season. So we have Sue Bird, Sylvia Fowles, Allison Felix, and then obviously Serena Williams. So make sure that you watch us on Sideline Sports for Sports Arena tomorrow night.
Kari.
Awesome. I just waiting for the launch of the NFL Carousel and being able to bring back my boys and
I think the entire world is waiting for the NFL to start.
And it's like,
yes,
it's
please.
not like my drug habit's been fed for several months, so it's itching.
And I make a vow when the season starts again, because I think I've been pretty good, not to bash a certain head coach. I make that vow now, unless it's
it.
I'm making it.
Yeah, well, you're better than me because
Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. I bash McCarthy all the time. Do what you want to do. Say what you want.
Yes.
I mean, I don't have to bash mine.
Push him off the roof of the stadium. Do it.
I know, right? I mean, I'm just saying. I might have to start another chant. It will neither confirm or deny if I've been a part of chants in the past.
Yeah, we're catching a ban on Facebook.
We are.
Probably so. All right, guys. Well, we want to thank you so much for commenting, for watching, for sharing the show. We appreciate everybody who interacts with the show every single week. Make sure that you catch us again next Tuesday at the same time, 7:30 Eastern. Thank y'all.
Thanks. Bye, y'all.
Have a great evening.